All right. Hi, everybody. Glad you're here tonight. It is October 3rd, a Monday. We're here for our first meeting of the month for the Poolesville Town Commissioners. We've got a full agenda for tonight, including a public hearing, which we will kick off here in just a minute. So before we get to that, though, if everybody could please rise, and Jeff, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff. That's greatly appreciated. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a public hearing on ordinance number 222, titled Food Trucks. This proposed ordinance is to be added to Appendix B, Section 14, and Appendix B, Section 7B of the Code of the Town of Poolesville. The file for this public hearing contains the following exhibits: proposed ordinance number 222, notice of public hearing, copy of the September 20 and 27, 2022 issue of the Frederick News Post containing the notice of public hearing. Any person wishing to do so may now testify or ask questions of the commissioners about the proposed ordinance number 222 after giving your name and address. We have nobody that has signed up for it. Is there anybody in the audience that meant to sign up that didn't? All right, all's quiet there. How about anybody trying to chime in and electronically? I don't see the TV screen on
No
tonight,
signups.
so
Nope.
no signups. Okay. What's that?
But I'm unaware of it, so I haven't signed up, and I don't know what happened. If I have questions as to what exactly are you doing.
We can, if that's okay. No, I don't mind. Wade, if you want to give a quick background on it.
Sure. The Planning Commission developed provisions for food trucks within the corporate limits of town and puts regulations on them, the number of days, locations, trash receptacles must be in place. So it's all just provisions to make sure that it's safe for the community to have food trucks in town and not be overwhelmed with them.
Can be enforced by the town, by the
It's actually a zoning provision, so the county does the health department aspect of it, and we do the zoning aspect of it.
Thanks for that, Wade and Jeff. I hope that does it for you. And there's always more information to be gained on it if you.
pushing about 3 steps back from actually getting out of town, but that's fine.
Very good, sir. Thank you for your commentary from the audience. I appreciate it. All right, very good. So that concludes this public hearing. Thank you for everybody, and Jeff, even for your comments. Appreciate it, Wade, for the background information. We'll now slide over into our public meeting, and we have, I just want to make an announcement. So we have 4 people that are signed in tonight to testify: Don Street, Jeff Yarmos, the Howards. And if you are going to be testifying on a specific item that's on the agenda, we can wait till after we hit that item on the agenda. If not, then in the public comment section, if you're just here for a general, then that'll be your time then. So just giving you heads up that we'll definitely find time for you. Just want to make sure that you know when is the right time. And I'll question again here in a couple of minutes. All right, very good, gang. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So announcements. If we would, Jeff, want to go ahead and get us started, and again, we'll get to our committee reports after the announcements.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. So in terms of announcements, the Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Department has its pork and beef sale on Saturday, October the 8th from 11 a.m. until they're sold out, so come early because it does sell out quickly. Fire Chief Scott Graham will present the history of the Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Department on the Poolesville Seniors, and that is on I think it's on October the 6th. There is a new Montgomery County flood preparedness website. That's montgomerycountymd.gov/flooding. There's also a new car seat law that went into effect on October the 1st. And the law states that children must be kept rear-facing until at least 2 years of age unless the child meets or exceeds the height and weight of the seat's guidelines. And there's a website you can check on there called zerodeathsmd.gov. There will be bingo on the Poolesville Seniors on October the 11th from 1 until 3 p.m. at the Poolesville Presbyterian Church, Spear Hall. Also, the Poolesville Seniors are hosting a pig roast and line dancing on October the 15th from 6 until 10 p.m. at the Linden Farm Gothic Barn in Dickerson. Registration and payments are open on the Poolesville Seniors website. You can also join the Poolesville Seniors on October the 20th at 7 p.m. for the Historic Ag Reserve Properties presentation with local historian Kenny Scholes. Kenny introduces some of the historic homes in the Ag Reserve. There's also a post for dangers of lithium batteries, and there's a website you can read out on there called poolsvilleseniors.org/beware-lithium-battery-dangers. And also, October is Global Diversity Awareness Month. Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate that. Anybody have any questions for Jeff and his announcements? That was good. Martin?
The only announcement I have is Wade and I had a conversation this week via email about our, let me back up. It started in the visioning, Planning Commission visioning workshop that we had. And somebody was talking about our historic district. And that got me to thinking that this board approved signs for the historic district, and when we took money out of the budget and we bought them. So I asked Wade about them. Wade looked into it promptly, and we apparently have 4 signs, is that right? That are waiting to go up, and there was some confusion about whether we actually had a historic district, and some research was done by some people in HMD, and apparently we do have a historic district, and so I just wanted to make everyone here aware of that, if you weren't aware, because even some of the people on HMD weren't aware. I don't know, does it affect our zoning, what we need to do?
No, because only local legislation can do the zoning, because we have authority over that. So I asked Jay about it too, and he said that it is, I think it was 1975 that was enacted by the Park Service, and it identified several structures that are nationally known on a national register basis, and so they made the zone from that. So it really has no legal binding as far as zoning or anything like that goes.
And do you have are we going to put the signs up?
We are. So
we're okay to do that,
So
right?
you guys had chosen, so Bobby gave me the packet today that was approved, that I think is brick or stone mounts. So I'm checking to see the locations where they are. Do we actually have right-of-ways and easements in those locations? And then there was some prices that were done, like $8,000 or something for the signs. I got to recheck that price. So there was no money allocated for that at the time, so we had to revisit that part to make it happen. But
And there's also, I know Heritage Montgomery was talking about there was mini grants, and I think Seth was in touch with Sarah Rogers, and she said, sure, if you do this, we'll give you mini grants.
So the mini grant was supposed to pay for the signs, but no reimbursement was ever sought, so they didn't get reimbursed for that. So maybe we can do the stanchions portion of it
Yeah.
as a mini grant. So
I never heard anything about bricks or anything like that. I was under the impression it would just be like on a metal pole, but
yeah, that's what I thought, but Bobby was showing me pictures that came before the board here. So we can revisit the whole thing again and talk about it, make sure everybody's on the same page,
okay.
which is probably a good idea.
Yeah, good. Thank you. That's all I have.
So Martin, to your point, and Wade, thanks for that. You know, I'm just a little, and we can talk about this more, we probably should put it on the agenda for just a general discussion item coming up. First of all, you know, I'm all in favor of some sort of historic designation for that side of Poolsville. You know, I've been trying to call it the historic West End for 15 years, and it hasn't caught on yet. So I'm starting to get the message. But signage would be great. Maybe we can write historic and put West End on it somewhere, but that's fine.
No turning point signs, though.
No, we don't work in the historic district. But one thing I do want to say is, I mean, I looked at that document and I couldn't see where that was actually, I thought it was like a nomination. I didn't see where it actually got certified through that document.
So what I saw, so you're right, it was a nomination form, but then it was notarized and approved by the Park Service as you scroll all the way down through the 15 pages or whatever that it was.
By the Park Service, like whose Park Service?
United States Federal, yeah.
And that still is
It's
something.
no bearing, it's more of a designation than, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Did residents have to like petition for it, or?
You know, I don't
So
know.
here's the-
because
here's the
never,
thing.
Bobby never
Really
heard of it, no one
interesting.
ever had.
And
It
by the
seems
way,
to
I'm
me-
not against it at all.
It seems to me we get the best of both worlds. If we don't have all the stringent like rules and regulations that come with it, yet we get to designate, yet it's technically designated. That's why we can put signs up and it helps with tourism and, you know,
Yeah, if that's the goal, you're right, then it does create that opportunity.
So, I mean, if everybody's confident enough to want to just move forward with this, I mean, I'm open to it, but I think we probably, since that application is so old, or the notarized application is so old, and we did authorize the signs, and, you know, we've had
it's
some.
already been voted on and everything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember voting on it, to be honest with you, but I'm fine with it. So, and that's been.
I remember it.
And we have that in our minutes, that was voted on, approved, to get those signs made and mount them. Do we have that?
I haven't looked it up. I'll send you a link on it.
Okay, please. I mean, assuming we did all that, I'm ready to move forward. I just want to make sure we do it the right way, that's all. So,
Do we want to, while we're talking about it now, rather than going into it another night, do we want to talk about metal poles or bricks or whatever and just get it done and then put it in Wade's court?
I'd kind of like to see the design of it, because I kind of lost track of what it looked like in my mind.
As I recall, we never actually saw, like, we saw what the proposed signage would look like, but never, you know, the mount, what it was going to be mounted on, so.
Well, we just pull the materials together and we
Okay.
can take a look at it.
Maybe you can give us some options
Yeah.
or something. Okay, great.
cool, I'm good with that. Thanks for bringing it up, I appreciate it. Carrie, do you have any announcements?
I just wanted to say apologies for being rather out of pocket lately. Been making a lot of trips up and back to North Carolina, but I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for their well wishes, for lots of personal issues, medical stuff going on with my parents. But thanks for that to everyone. And I also just wanted to say that I was at an event the other day for my job in Gaithersburg, and ran into our delegate, David Hidalgo, and he was just gushing about Poolsville Day from the very beginning all through the day. So I just wanted to pass that on.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that was an awesome day for those guys to all see us too. So that was pretty cool. Ed, do you have something for us announcement-wise?
Definitely. I want to give a shout out to Poolsville Baptist, and they had their event on Saturday. This Rise Up Against Hunger. You had a lot of volunteers who were out there and packed a lot of food to help that program. Also coming up on the 25th of October at Poolsville High School, they're going to have the Montgomery County Lynching Memorial Project Conversation Circle. So that's coming up on the 25th from 6:30 to 8:30, and you can reach out to Poolsville High School for more information on how to attend that event. They're giving priority to residents of Poolsville and nearby towns for registration first.
Very good. Thank you for that, Ed. Okay, well, I'll save my announcements during the fair access session. Come swing back around. Ed, can you go ahead and hit us back up again for Sustainable Poolsville, or is it too soon after your announcements? Okay.
All right, so looking at Sustainable Poolsville, we had a good meeting on the 28th. Some of the things that we discussed, one is the project that the Scout's going to do, looking at the benefits of the pollinator garden that the Scout wants to do. I know Don, who's here, is going to get the Scout in contact with one of the members over of the Sustainable Poolsville to look at how we could support that young man with the project that he's going to do. One of the things that we also talked about, you'll probably hear a little bit more about it, I guess, when they talk, looking at what's happening with trash and recyclables and so forth. One of the things that that will come out soon will be a way for folks to sign up for Pick It Up Poolsville. That's a campaign encouraging residents to be a part of helping to keep Poolsville clean. So there's more information you can find out about that. The next meeting is October 26th.
Very good, Carrie. Back around your way for
So
events.
the next thing on the agenda is the scarecrows. I'm sure everybody's seen the signs. So yesterday was the date to get those registrations in. So I believe that they'll be taking all of the actual scarecrows this week and then putting them up next week. And they'll be on display all of October. And there's there's both a individual / family award and then a business award. And then the other thing coming up on October 8th is the Big Flea. So that's always a good event. Unfortunately, the last couple of years it's been rained out, but hopefully, cross our fingers, we're getting our rain now. So yeah, that's October 8th.
Great, thank you. Please bring all your shredding materials for it. That would be appreciated. Martin, can you help us out with Planning Commission?
Well, as you know, we haven't met in several weeks, so we meet again a week from Wednesday. And the only thing I have to report about our goings-on is we had a visioning workshop last Tuesday where we discussed basically everything comprehensive plan. Everything from like a vision statement of like what, like a mission statement that we wanted to have, a couple sentences to like every component basically. And one of the questions I asked that night was, are we still on track for like a March, April completion? And the answer was yes. So,
Awesome.
yep, we're
That's
moving
what we-
along.
That's what we want to hear. Good. Jeff?
Yes, so I have several things. So we have our Parks Board meeting coming up on, I think it's Wednesday, right, Wade?
Yes.
Yeah. And well, there's actually going to be two parts to it. So at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, right here, there'll be a company called Pillar Design, and they're going to come and I guess they're going to present a redesign of the skate park. And will that, well, I guess I got to ask you a question. Will that incorporate the idea of the bouldering park?
No, that's going to be totally separate. This is a
Oh, okay.
skate park design company only.
Okay. And yeah, so that's at 6 o'clock, and then after 7 o'clock, we have the Parks Board meeting. We have quite a number of things to talk about at the Parks Board meeting. One of them, of course, is the idea of a bouldering park. So we'll talk about that. Also, the street names for the fish pool, the Willard project right over there. So we have the street naming policy, and we'd just like to make sure that all the proposed street names for the fish pool project are, comply with the policy. Additionally, there's a number of things that we want to kind of get caught up on. Primarily the speed humps along Wooten Avenue. So there's a proposed, and you can drive along Wooten Avenue and you'll see it spray painted on the road surface there. So there's one proposed speed hump, I guess it would be east of the high school, of course on Wooten Avenue, before you get to Norris, and maybe you've seen it spray painted there. The other one is just a little bit past, so you have Lily and you have Krister, just a tiny bit past Krister. And then there's a third proposed speed hump on Wooten Avenue. It's kind of, that horseshoe entrance where you come into the skate park, past the dog park, and you go out again. So it's those three are up for approval. Also want to make a mention of crosswalks. So honestly, I have to say, and I know I've sent text messages and emails and whatnot, and just kind of pulling your hair out because the safety aspect on Fisher Avenue, where folks scamper across the road and they're getting to and from locals, they're parking over by Anytime Fitness or Kaliva River Store, that kind of thing. And then they run across the road. I've actually seen people behind the Old Town Hall and in between that little alleyway there with the brick home, waiting to jump out in traffic and run across the road. I mean, it's just it's a bit of a nightmare to me. So we need to do something about that. I don't know what to do really, but we have to talk about it and figure out some safety thing. So we're going to talk about the bouldering park, and then also I already mentioned the speed humps, and maybe get an update on the bike rack installation, because remember those beautiful green round bike racks, and I believe some of them have been installed, but some have not yet been installed. And then also safer access from the Westerly Grove neighborhood to the Poolsville High School. Right, that's been a bit of a lingering topic, and we need to get that solved, I believe. And then I already mentioned the speed hump. So all of that is going to be quite a full agenda on Wednesday. So thanks, Jim.
So, Jeff, John, Wade, tell us what, I know that's everybody, they're just not us four. Give us an idea of what, we've had a resident and several residents call and talk about, and do you have an update for Spates Hill speed humps, Spates Hill Fisher Avenue crossing, and also, too, I believe we are waiting for Arrow to come up with something for in front of Old Town Hall and locals. Give us a status on those, if you don't mind.
Sure. Spates Hill, there's a couple of speed humps that have been designated in that area. between Munger Farm and the next road towards Wooten, and then one towards, from that next Campbell Farm up to Wooten intersection. Those have been marked.
When you say marked, what do you mean?
They're marked on the pavement, just
Me-
as a proposed location.
They're
Right.
spray painted right where the feet up and go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I was, when I was out there marking it up, the resident, one of the residents came out and said, "Great, that's fantastic. I'm glad it's going in. I'm not happy about going in my house, in front of my house, but I'll take it." The Fisher Avenue, Spates Hill crosswalk, the state has been notified of the issue. They're doing a 60-day investigation, and they should have us a report back if they can put in a traffic safety island or something along those lines at that location. The crossing between the old town hall and the red brick building, that is with Arrow.
Yeah, so as part of Arrow's review of our streetscape plan, they're paying special attention to that area to come up with a recommendation.
Should be at least 3 concepts coming out of it and back to us for our review.
Okay. So for your guys, make sure they know that.
That's something
Yeah.
we can fast track once we get it, put it
And we're
out.
going to need to, because it needs to go into
Roundabout
the
and-
comprehensive plan.
Yeah, good.
Okay, good, thank you. Didn't mean to put everybody on the spot, but I do appreciate that you had a good response for it, so thank you for that. Fair access, we've got, everybody knows, we had our big meeting, our big breakfast, which was an unbelievable success. And Poolsville Day in general was an amazing day. The vibe of the breakfast, and I believe, and I thank all the commissioners that were there. I want to thank all the committee members. And it wasn't just our Fair Access Committee, but our Planning Commission members came. What a great group, and everybody, all the people that advocate for Poolsville that day. It's great to surround all the elected officials with all the people that advocate super well. So you guys did a great job on it, and we made an unbelievable impression again, and it was really came over well. We have a couple fair access items coming up. One will be we're meeting with the BOE, Board of Education President Brenda Wolf, on the 17th. And I will be putting an email out to everybody. We want all the commissioners to attend. Any of the board members, everybody that's pro Poolsville. We want to give Brenda a good audience and let her know that we are, that her concerns are our concerns, and that she has a pretty clear idea of what we're after. But it's going to be good to show support. So if anybody can make it, again, I'll email everybody on that. And we recently crafted, Link, of course, did all of our writing. But we recently crafted a letter that went out to all the people that attended our breakfast and thanked them for being there. We've had a lot of positive responses off that already. We've also preparing a letter to go out to all of the elected officials that are potentially going to win election. We might send an election to some of the people that don't do as well too, but we're going to send election congratulation letters out to everybody that wins elections coming up in November, to make sure that our advocacy is solid and in place, and with whoever the new regime will be. We know there's going to be a new regime among our county council members. So it's going to be an exciting council this year. I think we're in the right position to deal with everybody there, but there's definitely some new faces that we're going to have to win over, and have to make them think that Poolsville's not way out there. That's the normal thing that we get, all the way out to Poolsville. So once they get over the hump on that, then they're in better shape. We've made some headway on the school gym size. And Fair Access Committee, we've been working on this. Gina Grubb's been an amazing contributor. We actually do see a proposal out there that potentially will work and will meet what we're looking for. So, John, you're going to have to keep an eye on them. But it's there's some a couple concepts out there. We used Gina Grubb. We used Colin Benson and his talents again to make some mock-ups. We had some good discussions, walked the grounds, talked to other high schools to see what works for them. And it looks to us like the push is going somewhere, and we're actually going to get a gym that befits the high school that they're building for us. So that's probably our last major hurdle for the high school in terms of trying to designate what happens there. still working on the community center, still working on our other goals. Of course, we let all the elected officials know what all of our goals are. Bubble over the pool, community center, wellness programs, et cetera. And I want to say right before I hang up on the whole Poolsville Day Breakfast, the wellness aspect of our presentation, you guys saw that. I thought that was amazing. Again, really hit home with the elected officials. The people that thought they knew it got reinforced, and it was a very big deal. So thanks to everybody for being there. Thanks to Link and our friends at WUMCO, who did an amazing job of helping us assemble all of our information. We're starting to hit home now. We've made obviously made a lot of headway with the high school, but wellness is right behind it, and getting the county to address our issues is a big deal. So that's it for fair access. Any comments?
Is Maria still on that committee?
She is. Yeah. Maria's still on the committee, and she's been contributory. So, thanks for asking. All right, very good. So we've done with our committee reports, our announcements, et cetera. It's time for public comment. Again, if you have public comment on anything that's not on the agenda, speak up. This is your time. If you have something you want to talk about, I'm willing to talk. We're willing to listen. If you're not, if that's not you, then I'll call it out again once we get into our agenda. Yes, sir. If you want to come up and give some commentary, if you sit down, give us your name, give us your town address, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
My name's Peter Beckel. I'm just visiting. I'm actually here for a couple of months, and I was at the Poolsville Day. Probably the second best parade I've ever been in. I've walked in the Macy's parade twice, and this was definitely right up there. So, I mean, just the way you guys had it organized, you had the parade route closed down, and then you had the section over at the Commons. It was just very wonderful parade. So, just wanted to say, awesome, you guys did a really good job.
Why are you here? What are you doing that you're just visiting for? Why don't you stay?
I'm actually here helping take care of my mother.
God
RC's mother-in-law.
Oh, of course. God bless you. That's
yeah,
cool. Good.
so-
You're in good company with that guy.
Yeah,
So,
but
I'm glad you enjoyed
really
it.
nice, really great town, and talking about the historical thing, I think that's really neat, because I like, that history part is really good, so. I'm saying you're doing a good job.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that. And we'll pass along the Poolsville Day and the parade to the right people, too. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, very good. Well, we're always open to compliments. That's good stuff. Thank you for that. Any other public comments before we get into other agenda items? Jeff, you're signed up. Is this going to be it for you?
Something else, if I have a different issue.
All right, yeah, go ahead, but please come on up. Yep.
Okay. Agree with you guys on the Fisher-Wooten stuff about speed bumps and things, but I come and deal with Westerly and Hughes. Your speed bumps are totally ineffective. I can go over them at 35, 40 miles an hour in a Ford truck, Ford van. I'm not carrying a load, so I'm not pushed down. There's many others who do more. Westerly seems to be pretty good. I don't know why, but it seems to be. But I think whatever you're looking at in terms of down the street and fixing up some of these other ones, Wooten, and maybe you might want to look at and rethink the used ones, because it's a raceway down there, it really is. So that's what I would say after looking at that. And then the only other thing is the old bank building. You want to change the intersection to keep people and make turns. People are turning left and users. I almost ran into somebody. They come out from Legends or whatever it is now, and everybody's, that should be a right turn only. Immediately. It's a danger. Current.
There is a no left turn sign there.
Well, it's not enforced.
People ignore it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The good thing is that,
And they get in a hurry too. It's like, oh, there's a hole. Bing.
But at this point, the owners of Locals, it looks like they've closed off that driveway, and so there's tables there, so now you have to go around the long way. So that should take care of that.
Oh, well, I don't mind them coming out. Just
Yeah.
don't turn left.
Right. I agree
You
with
want
you.
to turn right? I don't think there's a problem with the way he comes and goes. I don't think there's a problem with him, but it's just, yeah. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. All right, can we get an approval of the minutes? I need a motion.
Sure, I motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, 2022. We have a second for approval of the minutes of September 19th, 2022. Any questions on the minutes? None? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Abstain from carrying. Motion is approved. The minutes have been approved for September 19th, 2022, 401. Very good. All right, so this is really kind of funny that trash and recycle is under new business because it seems like it's always under business, period. So I'll let Wade start us off with trash and recycle. We talked about this last week about putting this on the agenda and just opening up a general discussion on it.
Sure, so a couple things we're looking at here. One, our current contract is going to be coming up at the end of June. It's going to expire. You know, we remind you that we extended it, a one-year extension last year. We made calls to other trash companies, and nobody was taking on any new business at that time. They didn't have the personnel, and the fuel prices were going up, and so we were kind of forced into using Bates for another year. So I've contacted some companies recently, and they're ready to start taking on, towns again, municipalities taking them on. They will need a little bit of a buffer period. They need to gear up as far as personnel and trucks go, but they're willing to take on new business again. So that's a good sign for us.
How long is the buffer period,
It depends on what we come up with. So really what we need to take a look at, I provided some older material from 2017 and the survey from 2019. And if you take a look at the bids that I put together, single stream versus dual stream recycling, not all companies can do a single stream. And then the companies that do, sometimes they're more expensive. Also, the number of trash days that we have, typically municipalities are going to one per day or one trash pickup per week. So I think these are things we might want to consider, and that's going to kind of play into, how long a company's going to need to gear up
And what companies we can use.
and what companies you can use, absolutely.
So the purpose, and I'm sure Wade's got much more to say about this, but some of us had some text conversations about this. It really just comes down to, in my opinion, is that we're, unless I hear otherwise from the board, and I'm definitely willing to discuss further. I'd love to see an orderly, transparent trash RFP that comes into play as early as possible, that creates that buffer zone and lets a company take us on. Whether we end up doing something again with Bates, if we do something with a new company. But first, before we do that, we have to, I think, rank our style, and that's we have some experts here tonight too. I want to rank our style of what we're looking to do recycling-wise. Because that is going to play a very large factor into what companies can bid on it and how much our costs are. It's not just how many times per week for trash pickup, but how much for recycling, what type of recycling ends up being done. So my purpose tonight, and at least the reason why I asked it to be on the agenda, was so we could hear a little bit more. We could review the trash survey, which Wade has circulated. We could talk about single stream versus dual stream, and give us a little bit of ammo so that we can make I would say an early spring decision, have a RFP ready to go, have an early spring decision that if we do end up making a change, that we do provide that buffer that has been talked about.
I'm all up for, transparent and all those good things, but, I think that we need to, in my mind, we make a decision. I'd like to see a decision made, sooner rather than later about whether we're going to re-up with Bates or find somebody else. I think that it's getting frustrating for people. I think, this has been, it's been lingering for a couple of years now, and it gets better, and it's quiet for a while, and then it gets bad again, then it gets better. I don't know if that's a function of the fact that they're so much less expensive than everybody else, and they're not paying their employees well or something, and they don't have the staff to handle this, or they're constantly having new people. I have no idea what the situation is, but it's getting to the point now where it's not terrible, but I think it's getting to the point where it's a nuisance. So that's my opinion.
I wanted to ask,
Go ahead, Jeff.
yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. So Wade, you sent us some very useful information about pricing, basically, and different options with 5 or 6 different companies, but it seemed, yeah, I agree with Martin. Bates was on the low end, and then it went all the way up almost, it was more than double, I think, for waste management. that isn't bad, but are there some on that list that we can just straight away rule out because our budget doesn't support it?
No, I think at this point, you make a determination of what we want to put into an RFP, put the RFP out, get the bids back in, and then we sit down and make that decision, make that determination.
Okay, so, I mean, because we already passed the budget, right? And I don't know if we,
So we'll be, no,
May-
we'll be fine for this year because unless we make a drastic change midstream.
Yeah.
But otherwise, this is going to carry us to June 30th, which the fiscal year goes to.
okay, thanks, Wade.
What would the process be, Wade, if we were to, I mean, I'm not saying I advocate this, but if we were to make a drastic change, you know, before spring, like, in terms of budget?
Until you get the bids in, you really won't know what that
Right.
dynamic's
But I
going
mean,
to
like,
be.
we have money that we can, for in an emergency, if it's gonna cost more, we can allocate it towards that, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think what I would like to see is that we really that we are able to get good information and really have a thoughtful discussion on the recycling piece, the dual stream versus the single stream. What's that capacity? What is that cost? And so I know the team on the Sustainable Poolsville has been doing a lot of good research and has information that they can share with this group here. So I would say before we jump and make one decision this way or that way, I would want to make sure that we hear from the community, that we hear from the experts who really understand this probably more than all of us. And then my approach would be to be more methodical, get well informed, get the feedback, find out. Like I looked at the survey from 2019, but also it might even be time to do a new survey. I know people are very frustrated, but I think it's important if you make a drastic switch, how do you know that you're not going to have something that's worse and pay more than what you already got? And so I think going through, doing that methodical approach, then going back, looking at those reviews on those different organizations that were put in for the RFP, because I think when we go out and do it the next time, I think it's extremely important that we get it right.
Of course.
So
And I think,
that's
you
my
know,
thought.
If we are entertaining somebody else, we need to do, like, you know, reference checks, basically, like, you know, talk to the people in those areas, like, that, you know, hypothetically speaking, say it's Titus. You know, is your trash getting picked up on time? Are they breaking bottles? You know, are the people courteous? Like, we have to find those things out. You know, I think we can do everything you just said, but we don't have to, like, take 6 months to do it either. I think it can be, you know, we can do it methodically and in an organized, like, efficient fashion, but, you know, like, but fast track it a little bit, you know?
You know, if you go through the trash survey, there's some really interesting things in there. Again, I really wanted to have this be, first of all, any discussion we have on this is great, period. And we should just keep talking about it, because the more that we all try to get on the same page in the public, we're going to be in a better spot when it comes to actually making a decision how to go forward and in what direction to go in. But there's, you know, one point or another, we're going to have to take the plunge, right? But the plunge is going to have to be and probably will fall on the shoulders of Wade and John to potentially come up with a RFP that is screwed down tightly in terms of what are the rates going to be and how well qualified are these companies to be able to do several different options, and can they offer that option? Because I think, you know, said this is all variables. How many days a week? What type of recycling? And maybe we decide on single stream ahead of time, which will make it, or dual stream ahead of time. But if you look at this, and I'm not saying I'm a fan of one way or the other, even if you look at our trash survey, it talks about that the residents, whether they like it or not, they have a, you know, they have a bent towards 2 days a week, or it doesn't matter in terms of how often they want to have pickup. For dual stream versus single stream, there was, maybe this is an education thing, but only 15% of the residents said they were in favor of dual stream versus 50% said single stream and 35% said doesn't matter. I love education, and I want us to get the best information we can from our people and our experts, and then I want us to make the best decision on behalf of our residents. If I'm still sitting in this chair in another month or two, I would definitely want to say that I'd want to have citizen input on this and have them be part of potentially a trash committee that helps us make this decision. So we're not operating in a vacuum.
We have a lot of citizen input here.
We
But yeah, I
do-
agree
we
with
do.
you. I think that whatever amount we can get is good.
Jeff, are you
Yeah.
looking to jump in? I see your light.
Yeah.
No, we're just taking those in, thanks.
So, I mean, that's, this is single, as everybody knows that's behind the desk and everybody in the audience, you should know that this is the single most thing that we pay out for outside of pocket in the entire town. And we have our employees that we do great things for. We have our contract workers, but trash and recycling is single-handedly the biggest thing that we write checks for on a regular basis. I know we're writing checks for infrastructure things that when we take on big projects, but this is our regular one. This is our budget. This is a big deal.
You also have I was talking to some of the people at Town Hall, and, I don't know how you put an amount on this, but the hours that they're spending fielding complaints is significant. It's you have to assign some kind of value to that.
They do take a lot of heat that's unnecessary because it's not
Yeah,
their
I
fault.
mean, there's a lot of things they could be doing with that time besides saying, okay, I'll take your name and address and we'll get your trash picked up, so.
So then going back and gathering information, I know that Soledad, who's here with us, and she's put a lot of work in just looking at some of the information she would share with us at our Sustainable Poolsville meeting. When just even for myself being educated on the difference between single stream, dual stream, and when I looked at the survey, I know that we had about 338 or so who participated in the survey. I think if we had more of education about, hey, this is what this means, and then once we go out and we share that information with the town, then being able to do another survey, but it has to be quick, but at least a survey that people could take once they understand the benefits of one versus the other, because that information will help us as we begin to scope out, and as we would create a RFP, and then looking at if the town says this is what the majority of the town is looking for, these are the benefits, and you're willing to pay the price, then who are the companies out there that can deliver? So I think, because we have to make sure there's an alignment between what we want and what we're willing to pay for the things that we want, and at the same time making sure that what we think we want is that we're clear on, or what we think we don't want, make sure we're really clear, and then we move forward to go deliver.
I agree 100%. Is it possible for us to have an RFP that, as I remember on the last one, or maybe it was the one before that, I'm just getting sketchy on how far back we go on trash, but is it possible to prepare an RFP that requests these companies to provide these variables to us so
Yes.
that we can help them?
Yes, I
that
think that's
helps us
exactly
make-
how we kind of laid it out last time. The scope had it both ways, what services they could offer. And some could not do the single stream, if you recall.
Right, single stream versus dual stream frequency for both types of pickups.
And we also learned a lesson, because when we first hired Bates, they weren't Bates, they were Unity, which is actually, Mr. Bates owns Unity as well as he owns Bates. And we were then kind of shuffled down to the Bates company, and that's when things went downhill a little bit, where Unity is more of a larger company and does bigger contracts and has union employees. So we had to make sure we write into the contract this time that there's not a change in operations and strategies as far as that goes.
Are you calling that a Bates and switch?
That was a bait and switch.
No, that's terrible.
I know, I'm sorry. That was a garbage comment. Okay. Hang on, Jeff. Yeah, hang on for a minute. We'll get to you in just a second. Okay, guys, so I think that what we'd like to do then for the rest of this evening is we'll take our input from our audience, if that's okay, and then we will take that input and probably let Wade and John distill that a little bit to help us get a direction. Is that okay with you guys? And also too, I think it's important to know, and Martin sent out something that was cautionary and smart. Do we, we'll need to know, is there a penalty if we decide to break early from our contract?
No.
Okay, well, there you go. That was a very firm answer from Wade Yost.
I talked with Jay Gullo earlier this morning, and we talked about it.
Okay, well, I just wanted the public to know too. Thank you for that. Okay, so first up, we've got everybody signed up in order, and so Don, since you're the first one that signed up for it, if you want to come on up and give us testimony, if you want to come together, both of you, that would be great. Introduce yourselves and give us some feedback.
Thank you all. Just for the record, in case you didn't know, I'm Don Street, the chairman of the Sustainable Poolsville Committee. We are here tonight, and I'm accompanied by committee member Soledad Aguilar, who will be giving most of the information here. Wade tipped us off to the fact that you would be taking up the issue of trash and recycling tonight. The committee's been, at various times, discussing the issue of recycling, single stream versus dual stream here, and how it all plays into the environment, the sustainability of Poolsville and our community. So the opportunity here to present some things from the get-go as you start this discussion was important to us. As you move along towards writing the RFP or getting around to making some major decisions on how you're going to proceed, the Sustainable Committee will be more than happy to provide more information, come in and talk to you, at one of the meetings and so on. Soledad has been working on this. She is my point person, my project person for the recycling issue. And I'm going to turn it over to her and let her put some things before you, give you some food for thought tonight.
Thank you. My name is Soledad Aguilar. I moved a year and a half ago to Poolsville. I live on 17501 Collier Circle. This is the initial approach to the topic because we are still waiting to have the information from Poolsville that we don't have. But since it was on the table today, we didn't want to miss the opportunity to just present some of the data that we have been collecting.
And not to interrupt, but we do appreciate you coming with no notice or very little notice, and we also know that this is not the final word. So we thank you for the beginning conversation on this.
Yeah, thanks. That's what I wanted to say because we still haven't been able to discuss it internally in the committee. So, but in general terms, we were looking at dual versus single stream recycling, and like Ed said, the first survey, if one doesn't have the information, it's very difficult to choose what one would prefer. So we started looking into the topic, and people who are aware of the issue know in environmental terms, it's undeniable that dual stream is better than single stream. There is no discussion on this. So the reason is that it results in less contamination because, when you mix humid things with paper, it gets wet and then the paper is useless and it cannot be recycled or the glass breaks. So when you keep it in two different streams, the quality of the material is much better, then it gets a better price and is able to be recycled, while the contaminated material ends up in landfills, even if one puts it in the blue bin, because it's contaminated. So Montgomery County has a recycling center. It only accepts dual stream, and it has been able to successfully market recyclable materials and has even established a fund that is well funded with the income from the recycled materials. Montgomery County has the highest recycling rate in Maryland, with a 59% of solid waste recycled and 64% waste diversion. But we don't know. We wanted to check how Poolsville was doing regarding these percentages, whether we were better or worse, and we don't have the information from Bates. So all in all, we were looking also at the greenhouse gases that are emitted for causing climate change, and we have the information if you want it. Today we are making a very short presentation. So in total, Montgomery County is saving 6.5 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year through recycling, which is equivalent to taking 1.38 million cars from the roadway each year. So it's a substantive saving in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, but also it has many other benefits to the atmosphere because you're not burning. Right now we are breathing a lot of the trash that we send every day because it gets burnt in Dickerson. So it has other benefits other than climate change. So basically the proposal today as a starting point would be to request the tonnage reporting by Bates. They are obliged to present this twice a year to Montgomery County, but it's not public. So what we're suggesting is that in future contracts, this is included, that they also present the same report at the same time to us, to Poolesville. Since they're already doing it, it's not much work. And that would give us the information of where the wastes are actually going, which we currently don't know, if everything is getting burnt, if it's going to landfills, if it's sold and ends up in the rivers in India, we don't know. It's because some of the materials are exported. And then also the other point regarding the economic benefit of dual stream versus single stream. In theory, in environmental theory, it should be more economic to have dual stream because the price of the materials is better. But in practice, sometimes it has to do with the availability of trucks, how far we are, like you were saying, how many times per week they have to come. So in order to have that information, it would be ideal to include, you were just saying it, but this was part of what we had thought, in the RFPs to ask providers to present a price both for single and double stream, because it might depend on each provider. For some providers, it might be cheapest to do dual, and it has lots of environmental benefits, but for others not. So that's information that would be good to have. And also, Montgomery County is getting an income from the recycled materials through dual stream. Currently, Poolesville is not getting anything from the materials that citizens recycle. So that's something that could be looked into when they present their offers. So, well, that's very quickly what we wanted to say today.
Just because we're here and the audience is here too, give us the basics of single versus dual stream, because it really appears like the whole argument is, from a recycling standpoint in general, is there are only two options, single versus dual stream. Is it in your experience that there are any companies out there that do some other enhanced version of this, or is it just, you have a choice, single or dual stream, and if it's dual stream, how is it separated? And do you know how it's handled from we'll find out, but how it's handled from a individual container standpoint, and what our residents are going to be expected to do in terms of loading up containers, rolling them out? Are people going to have now, potentially, if we went dual stream, would they have a trash can and 2 roller recycling bins? We have to think about the recycling. We have to think about the practicality of how this is going to work in our townhouses, how this is going to work in our areas where we, it can be difficult. I want to make the right decision, but how is it split up right now? When you do something that's dual stream, what goes in one bin and what goes in the other?
Well, I lived in Darstown for 10 months before coming here, and they have Titus, and they do dual stream because they are picked up by Montgomery County. Actually, it's very simple. You have the regular recycling rolling bin, and then there's like a box, because for paper, you don't really need a huge bin. So it's a blue box that you take with, I used to put it on top of the other one and just roll. Right. So
I could see that happening.
I'm just saying it wasn't complicated. I personally didn't know the advantages in terms of the quality of materials was so dramatic. That's what I'm learning now. So I guess a lot of people don't know that, but that's why Montgomery County only accepts double stream, because the quality of materials is significantly better.
Yeah, no soilage on the paper because it's going into its own separate bin. Is that
the truck needs to have a division? That's one of the things that they explain. Or either they have to come on separate days, or what Titus has is a division inside the truck, and they put the paper on the one side and the rest of the other. So, yeah, and I can get more information if you want, but in terms of the end result, contaminated material many times gets exported, gets rejected on export, and ends up in the ocean, while good quality recycling material ends up being recycled. So
Right,
that's
so
also another-
essentially, it's all about saving the viability of the cardboard and paper products,
And the glass too.
and the glass too, and the glass has to stay intact, and the glass has to go in the separate bin from the paper.
Yeah, you have glass, plastic, and the
Yeah, stuff with the triangle
like cans
Yeah.
in one side and all the paper on the other.
in the other. Okay, very good.
I think
All right,
there's
yeah.
I would hate to say that the citizenry here is lazy, but the bottom line is, it's easier just to throw everything into one bin, as opposed to, oh, well, we have to rinse and we have to separate and so on. So as far as an educational kind of thing, it's a matter of pointing out these kinds of things. There's, how much impact the single stream has on the environment. I know there's a sizable portion of the population here who would really like to see the incinerator in Darnestown go away, or Dickerson go away. This is a good selling point. Single stream tends to, cause contamination. If it's contaminated, it either goes in the landfill or goes to the incinerator. If we have cleaner, better quality recyclables, they're less likely to end up in the incinerator. If they're not in the incinerator and being burned, better air quality. So that it kind of feeds in to two different things here.
And listen, I appreciate all that, and I know our citizens do too. It's important. I would say that I would want to figure out if, when we get into our RFP discussions, and if we have a direction or a general direction set, again, we may have to pivot, is that I would also want to know, I want to make sure that the residents, and we all should have to pay attention to this, make sure the residents know exactly what they will have to do in order to dual stream versus single stream. And we need to know if the supplying vendors are providing cans that have a divider in them, or if it is going to be the box versus the roller. Versus, I think we need to have kind of like a really good game plan for all that, because I think that's our residents are going to tell us if it's easier and obviously better for the environment and a better scenario and opens up the door to more vendors, then, that could be win-win-win. But I think we need to make sure that we spell that out very
To some extent,
specifically.
they've already told us. I mean, like, I'm looking at the survey here, and the people that want single stream are 49%, and between people that want dual stream and people that don't care either way, it's more than 49%. So, it's, and I think we have smart people here that can figure out how to do both, so.
One other point on that survey too, that's 5 years old. If you're looking at the 2017 survey, so,
This survey was done more recently.
okay,
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
okay, but there's still a possibility that there's been
Sure.
a certain amount of change in attitude.
More education. Better results. You never know what we're going to come up with. So I agree. And I read your stats the same way I'm reading them. So, okay. The commissioners, anything you would like to contribute to discuss?
I just wanted to say thanks for bringing your expertise. It does kind of scare me. Well, it makes me wonder if we're only doing single stream, is a lot of it getting rejected? Where is it going? I mean, from what I'm kind of hearing from you is that there really is only one choice if we're going to do this right. And one of the things I wanted to ask is, do you know when that report is that Bates is supposed to make to?
Yeah, it's. I think it's January and July. It's twice a year, and it's every year. So I have the information from Maryland for all the state and from Montgomery County. They published this year. At the end of 2021, they published the 2020 statistics.
Okay.
So that's what I'm reading. I'm reading 2020.
Okay, great.
But they don't single out
Right.
by providers, so there's no way to break it down to what Poolsville.
Right.
And it's very detailed into whether, like you say, how much gets rejected, whether it goes
Right.
to landfill, whether it goes to the incinerator, or whether it's actually sold for
Yeah. I mean, this isn't anything new. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. I mean, honestly, the last 3 places that I lived before Poolsville, they all did dual stream. And, I mean, I can't remember if I had this conversation with Don or with Joyce a couple years ago, but we were talking about how, I'm just in the habit of doing dual stream in my house. And like a crazy person, I continue to do it, even though then when I take it outside, it all goes to the same place. So, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to have to look at lots of factors, and, you know, money being a big one. But it's really good to hear that feedback. One thing jumped in my head when Soledad was talking. Wade, I was wondering if any of the companies that we're looking at are making a move towards EV trucks.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I've not seen the availability of them in,
So I know a lot
production
of,
yet.
you know, we're thinking about that stuff, and a lot of towns are, so I wonder. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, great information, you guys. Thank you. A bunch of things. That's great.
Sure
Yeah,
thing.
then I'll just add, Jim answered one of your questions you asked. I know that my parents, they're in Silver Spring, and they do the dual streaming, and they actually, the company that provides for them, they have 2 on the roll of the glass cans and plastic are in a bigger bin. Then there's a tall, skinny bin with wheels that, for the paper, and they got away from the smaller box piece. So if a person is, depending on what the service provider could do, you could have 2 sets on wheels, one that's smaller. So there's also that other option. I think what would be helpful if the commission would agree at a later point, then we have this Sustainable Poolsville come back and present to us, because what I'm hearing is that there's the need for the education, and that education is defining what is single stream, what is dual stream, and then with how does that work in your home? How difficult is that for the residents? And then make sure everybody's well informed. And then we might just push another survey, have a window of time, and see if we can get more participants in the survey than what we had the last one, and see if the results change once more people are informed about the differences between the two, not just defining one versus the other, but also looking at the practicality. Is it really practical? Is it something they would do? Is it something that they say, hey, here are some benefits, maybe I would do it, maybe I won't, but at least let them have the information.
I will say that, to your point, I remember when Tony did that survey, it was Tony that it wasn't? Oh.
Tony did it. Or did you do it?
No,
2019.
That was you, okay.
But Tony did one also, didn't he?
Well, I think it might have been right when they're getting ready to transition.
Okay. But anyway, I remember Tony saying that the number of respondents, you know, surprised him, like how many we got, like it was a good turnout.
I'm
You know,
coming from a person who works in stats as well, so.
Based on
the sample
past.
size of the population, all that stuff, but trust me, I think the number would probably need to be a little higher.
And I like your input, and I appreciate your input, too. Thank you for that. And there's obviously more to come, so, and we appreciate it. Okay, so we still have some people signed up on the list. Jeff, you're up still, you're officially signed up. You were unofficially earlier. You're officially signed up now, too. We also have the Howards here. Do you have, where are you, in terms of any other commentary? Do you want to come on up for anything else? Jeff? Then come on up, and then, and then the Howards, where are you guys? Are you on trash, too?
Mine's really quick.
Okay, well, hang on. Jeff, hang up. Then we'll take care of the Howards. Go ahead. Come on up and identify yourself.
Just Annette Howard, Cuban Court. Was the survey only online?
I don't remember.
Yes.
We're doing a survey online, so I think that's the first
It was probably advertised through Facebook and then all the other
Why don't we
methods.
send a survey out in the next water bill? Single page, high school, written, simple, you turn your water bill back in somehow, correct?
A lot of people do electronically, but.
Yeah.
But then they still see it, because they still get it.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at how quick it'd be for staff to be able to do
You
that,
have
but.
3 months to figure it out. That's what I'm saying, we just had water bills. Send
Right.
one sheeter in the paper, say, hey, we have to do this, and it's simple. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to think about some sort of hybrid on that, so I'm with you.
because I'm one of the ones that complained, because I stood there one day and watched them dump my recyclables and my trash in the same truck. And I'm like, okay, Kathy, how are you? And she was, getting the calls. So that was the one thing. The other thing that you mentioned with the,
So if we decide to go dual stream, it'll go to the county. If it stays single stream, then we're subject to the provider.
No, we just don't get taxed for it. So,
So you do save money then in the long run.
Residents do, it's not on their regular tax bill or property tax bill.
Right, so then we wouldn't pay as much in tax.
You don't
in
now.
town. So
Right,
there
right,
is
right.
a revolving door.
There
there.
is, sort of, yeah.
Potentially, right. So my only thought listening.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm involved with the Legion. That's why I made the tap. So I'm
Yeah.
involved with the Legion. I'm the advocate for the post.
Yeah.
Our scarecrow has already been installed out front.
Oh, that's it. Then you definitely get to testify
There you
and
go.
bring your
So,
information.
we're the first one out.
Now, we definitely, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Would love to have the American Legion be more recognized and have their activities talked on a public forum.
Right, so
So
as he was reading, I'm thinking, oh my God, the things I could have you read up here for us.
you could send it in and we could designate who would be the person that would announce.
Send it to Bobby or Kathy?
Send it to Bobby and Kathy.
Okay.
Yep.
And I did speak to Jim over the weekend. We're going to start having our events advertised on the board. Hopefully we got one as we do have a meeting on Thursday.
Good.
Hopefully, so, thank you.
All about the American Legion. Thank you for that. And thank you guys for your hard work too. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great. Jeff, before you come on up, RC, you're back there, buddy. You have something? You told me, RC bent my ear at length on Sunday when there's no motorcycle riding to be done. So, bring it.
My name is Russell C. Jones. Everyone calls me RC. 17019 West Willard Road. Been here 12 years this year. I'm going to admit, when I saw Jim yesterday, I had the missiles on the rail. As I walked in and I started listening, I took the missiles off the rail and I put the 50 cals out. So my issue is the garbage. In any given month, my trash is picked up half the time. You talk about the ladies getting bombarded. They know me when I call them, like Mr. Jones. I know. Yes, they never get that in. A couple of things about your process. I'm a recent 31-year federal retiree. Last 17 years, I did contracts. I had a warrant up to $50 million. So I know contracts. It sounds like the reason why you can't get bids, had a trouble getting bids, it's not your RFP. RFP is the mechanism that people get sent back. It sounds like your statement of work needs a lot of work. A lot of companies, what they do is if you don't have a succinct statement of work, they'll take it, they'll just write something, or they'll price themselves out of the job. And I've seen a lot of that. So you might want to form a committee, have a committee of residents and commissioners or some of the staff. Form a committee so they can receive all the bids, read them. I used to take 3 weeks. I tell my committee, read them, put them away. Read them the next week. Then start reading them, come up with a set of questions, get together, and then call the companies and say, okay, I want a 10-slide PowerPoint. I'm not a PowerPoint person, but 10 slides is enough. After that, you lose people. And tell me, and give a presentation on what you're doing. about the single and the dual, that would be excellent. So everybody that's on the staff and the commissioners will all be on the same page. Once you do that, then you have a committee, you rank them, you have the committee rank them, and then you come together and you have one succinct rank. The town manager can have them say, look, we met, this is how we rank them. Then you could come before the commissioners, they can see it, they can like, oh, okay. Like I said, it sounds like they were the lowest bid. You get what you pay for. I hate to say that, but I've dealt with a lot of companies. When they bid low, you award low, you get low performance. The one caveat, I was glad to hear that there was no penalty for canceling the contract. A lot of times, companies won't even they won't even entertain your bid, your proposal, a proposal, if that's in there. The federal government, we always can cancel for cause, but we pay 25% penalty because they have to make a living. So I think if you kind of tighten up your contract ship a little bit, who does the contracts?
We have a town attorney that does it.
That
He's a municipal attorney,
oh, you're talking about
Jay Gullo.
Jay? You might want to have somebody give an assistant because he's doing legal stuff and contract. I mean, we're talking financial contracts. He's that part of the legality of all the laws and all that stuff. He can oversee and do. But you need somebody who understands, the numbers, what is needed. Who wrote the statement of work? The attorney?
I do.
You do? You might want to have somebody else look at it and say, does this make sense? Because the statement of work is supposed to be written in a way that I can go grab someone from the high school and read this and they can tell me exactly what is needed. So I think if you do that, you'll get way more bids. And another question,
Well, we did get a lot of bids, so
what do you consider a lot?
7 out of the.
That's not a
area
lot.
For trash contractors, not a whole lot of companies out there.
You'd be surprised. Is there a website you can advertise on the county website and the state?
Actually, the state website, it's eMaryland.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies, like I said, if your statement of work is tight, you will get more responses. And I'm thinking that's where the problem is.
To your point, I think, RC, I appreciate you bringing it up and your experience as well. We're going to, I'm going to make you bet that this group, or whatever the group that's sitting behind the desk is when it gets there, is going to make a decision on a direction.
Yeah.
And that will, lessen some of the variables and hopefully present that kind of tightness. I do like the idea of putting it away and looking at it and going back and looking at it again.
Yeah.
And I do trust our team and their ability to put it together. So we'll take all that advice.
Yep.
It's good. And
That's it.
and we'll try to get the Bates to go down to your end of the
I was
West Willard.
surprised.
Did it
I
happen
came
today?
home, I asked my brother, that's the first thing I asked him. Did they pick? He said they picked their trash.
So we went from missiles to 50 cal to what?
Now I'm just standing
Shotgun?
there. I'm just standing there now. I'm on the rail looking at, but they did pick the trash up.
And I appreciate the discussion the other
Yep.
day on this too. As always,
Yep.
we can always talk.
All right,
So,
thank you.
thanks, RC. Appreciate it. Good seeing you too, buddy. All right, last but not least, Mr. Jeff, come on back up again and give us your name and information, and we'll take it from there. It looks like no one wants to talk about your wastewater treatment plant contract award. Probably the most expensive thing we'll do. Okay. All right, good. All right, Jeff, it's all yours, buddy.
Okay, Jeff Yarmus. Dealing with trash here. Sounds like at least 3 of you have already made up your minds, or potentially have, and one is really kind of hard on it. I don't know, just how it sounds.
I can tell you what, I'm not one of those.
You seem to be in the middle. You do seem to be in the middle. So,
Yeah, would you mind repeating that? Because I didn't hear you properly.
I said,
Please.
if you were to basically, if you were to take a vote now, I think I see 3 no votes on Bates.
Oh, okay.
No, I just, from your comments, from.
Jeff,
your
we still need somebody to
discussions,
come get our trash on Thursday.
Yeah,
So,
I still,
unless you have a
Um,
solution there.
I hear a lot of complaints, people about Bates, and I've seen some stuff around here that's just absolutely ridiculous that they're expected to do. We're into single stream, whatever and everything. People are still pouring their trash into, or their recycles into the trash cans. And when Bates doesn't pick it up, they get blamed. Not always. I've seen my next door neighbor ream them out because the can was patty-cornered away from the mailbox a little too far. Stupid stuff. And then it goes in, and it sounds like right now, it was about 40%, 37% thought we were horrible. Total, basically, 60% of people seem to say you're okay with Bates. They were acceptable to it. And you know, ready to throw them out. Sounds like. You're writing contracts and things are tight, let's tighten it all up. Yeah, I don't disagree with all that, but it sounds like a plan with an end. Somebody mentioned that it didn't know who they were hiring. This summer I've seen a lot. I've been retired now for 2 years and with the pandemic watching around. I've seen neighbors pull crap, try and dump stuff. I've seen these guys come running around in the hot sun sweating like hell and being denigrated because they don't get the job done. They're just damn trash men. And I've heard that from people. And they don't get anything done in their favor. They get blamed for all kinds of things. They get down into parts of these neighborhoods that are so tight with cars and with people who park, and you can't get back down into places. They can't back up 3/4 of a mile, but half the time they have to. Not half the time. Oftentimes they have to. Go back to this survey. We seem to have a core group disgruntled, but we have a lot who are right up there. So I don't understand why you guys are get rid of them. I really don't. I also read a lot of your things. Why are we even looking at Key? They're a commercial hauler and they do outhouses. They're not, and they don't do Montgomery County. But that's the one right on the top of your list of comps.
They just were one of the companies that bid.
There's just one? Okay, well, it's right up there, but, well, why are we even looking? They don't business here. Are we becoming a business incubator to expand the, company? I don't know. I just don't know.
Too, and I would imagine that it's said through email and in our regular bid processes that that's going to be, will be both expanded and, as you said, tighter on the next
Mm-hmm.
go-around.
As far as the multiple streams, one of the things you got to think about, Poolsville is a town of many small houses. They don't have room to put up, and they're going to chafe at it harshly, to put up a stack of 3 things and haul it all out from the townhouses or some of the small houses, the Westmans, Westerly, even mine's a small one. So, everything you're trying to do, I want a great environment too, but at the same time, you can't just go about it like this. We are constricted by a lot of things. The housing, the streets, the speed humps certainly make it real fun for them too. It helps them a lot. I know we have a problem with speed, but you put obstacles in their way, and while they overcome them, you're complaining about how they're doing it. Neighbors the lady next door, she took her damn recycle can with her. Well, she was a piece of work. Dumb crap. I don't understand it. And what's done for these people? They come out and they complain about it. I started coming out in the hottest part of the summer and I threw bottles of water at them. The guys were happy as hell. Treated like human beings. The thing I heard today from the ward here, we don't know where they're getting their help, what they're getting. Well, I've seen them for quite a bit in a number of things. I've seen the same people a lot of times, different people a lot of times, but pretty much every time people are willing to work. They got a job that nobody else wants, and they get dumped on for it, for doing it in a pretty fairly good way. I had some of those, when I had a shop, I always took care of my people. It got hot in the summer, people were sweating like hell. I started to take a milk crate and I threw out a bunch of water bottles, left them there. The milkman got them, yeah, actually did, the guy comes down from Frederick, the milk company. And those guys got them. And yeah, they picked up my trash, not because they had to, they appreciated a human gesture. Did the town do anything for any of these people? No, they're a contractor. We don't need to do anything for them. And
We
then
do,
complain
we do
about it.
actually run interference on all the calls of complaints of service. That's something we definitely do.
That's
do.
the other thing. How
And
many
have to
complaints are
coordinate with them, too.
verifiable? How many are real?
So we have a logbook,
Mm-hmm.
and we keep a logbook of all the complaints, and we also keep a logbook that says how the complaint has been resolved. And in addition to it, and just to answer your question, and people in the audience probably know this too, that we do have a fine system set up where they are incentivized to perform their job the way they're supposed to perform it. We actually cut them a lot of slack in order to make sure that we keep a good working relationship, but in the end, they do get fined. And we do incentivize them to do their job the right way. And I think that's going to be a critical part of any contract that we have coming up next as well. So,
Well, as I said, I think it's going to take a good bit more work. And I don't think you're going to get what you want.
we may
But-
not, but we're gonna give it the best process possible
What
to
you're
try.
trying to do is to back somebody into a corner, pigeonhole them, where you want to call it, and you're going to have this RFP that's so tight, there's nothing, and an awful lot of what's come and gone is a result of this once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, hopefully, for the past couple of years. And people are nuts. Half these people who are sitting at home are calling up just because they got nothing else to do but complain. So I don't think a lot of them I think you need to find out more about validity. I heard a guy I talked to around the corner on Westerly, I came by, and he was saying something, he was stuffing something in his trash can. I said, I don't give a damn, I'm not throwing stuff away, I've done it all the whole life. And
Yeah.
we've got that.
I-
And you can't blame the company, because don't they get fined when they dump it? The county sees it and says, no, dirty load or something like that, they get less money, or they get a fine, they get something.
So Jeff, I don't want to cut you off, and I hear you loud and clear, and I think that the message that we're getting from you is that we need to make sure that we have show some compassion, but at the same time, we spell out our very strong requirements, and that we also make sure we alert our residents to the ways that they need to potentially change a little bit to help the process. And we did do some of that this spring when we forced Bates to become more efficient by they wanted to have different colored trash cans, including their own recycling can again, as well as the private property owners providing their own trash cans. The amount of calls went way down once that we got those lined up. And it was a nice change, and it was something we probably should have enforced a long time ago. But when we did it, it did help Bates become more efficient. Not saying that they don't go on a bad roll, but we definitely noticed a difference. And we had about a month of our residents being not so happy about how, what the requirements were, but they fell in line, and it just showed that the town can change, and hopefully is going to be able to adapt whatever direction we go. So if you have anything else, let me know, but otherwise, I want to kind of keep it rolling here. We've got something big to cover in just a
I
minute.
want to do it, but I think you're acting prematurely. I think you're acting, not personally, but the board is acting in a way that seems to be a means towards an end for a change, where there may not really be a change needed. When your survey says 40% or less, oh, they're horrible, but you know what? There's more of us than that. And I think that you need to redo your survey, redo your stuff, and not be punitive and try and put everybody in a box with what you're doing, but be flexible, and you have to anticipate, which we can't do. And you just have to find a way to do it that works. It doesn't just, we can't change this every few years. We
No,
can't.
but I think we're going to take all that into account, and I would call what we're talking about, the mere fact that we're talking about right now is called, really, I would call it proactive and not prohibitive. And I think that we're going to, but we're going to take your advice, and I appreciate the human side of it, and the fact that you've been a satisfied trash customer too. So, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good to see you again. All right, very good. Anybody else that wants to have talk trash? That was the promise for tonight.
Joyce in the back.
Joyce, come on up. Looks like she's been writing on her phone the entire meeting. All right, good enough.
Hi, Joyce Bronner, 2 Hackett Court, Poolsville. I just wanted to sort of respond to some of the things I heard tonight as Poolsville Green's executive director. The first one is the single versus dual stream issue. There were a couple things I heard that I thought was interesting and I wanted to respond to. One is dual stream is not new to Poolsville. Prior to 10 years ago, we were all on dual stream. So this isn't a new thing. It might be new for new people in Poolsville who have moved in since then, but it's not new, okay? The age of the survey, while it was done in 2019, I think it is aging a bit. And I also think that when you survey some folks on something they don't have any background on, you will get different answers than you will if they have some background on that subject matter. So I think that's an important aspect and why you might want to survey again in whatever form that might take. The second thing is regarding education around this. The county has tons of recycling education, everything from videos to, you can type in, they've got a website where you can type in, I want to recycle X, and it tells you how to do that, or if you can't do that, what do you do? And with the dual stream system, we could easily tap into that. You cannot point necessarily to the county's website information on recycling if you are single stream recycling. And I have seen that attempted here in our community. So I think that's something that needs to be better understood. And the county will send people out to do education on recycling at, the Spring Flea or whatever, Spring Fest, Poolsville Day, whatever. They'll come out and have a presence, but they just need to be asked. With regard to EV recycling trucks, I believe the first ones in the region are in either Arlington County, Virginia, or one south of there, Alexandria. Thank you. So I'm pretty sure about that. And if you want more information, I'll dig into that. Let's see. And then the third thing is, or the fourth thing and last is composting. We haven't talked about that tonight, and I see that can be a different kind of discussion, but in the whole trash kind of environment, it is part of the discussion. If we're talking about getting rid of the incinerator, that is very much part of the conversation of what happens to our refuse. And the county has identified that they can't get rid of the incinerator until they get rid of the organics in a responsible way, much of that being food composting. So I think that's an integral part of the discussion. Maybe a broader piece than just getting a new trash contract kind of thing, but it is a very big part of the picture, and it plays into our public health because of the trash incinerator. So if we want to get rid of the incinerator, we got to recycle responsibly, and we have to compost responsibly. So thanks.
I hope you're right that our contribution will play any role in the incinerator being cut back.
Yeah, and I think along those lines, I think as in a very much affected community from the incinerator, why aren't we being an example for the rest of the county of what can be done and should be done?
Very good. I'm with you. All right, very good. Anybody else that wants to have commentary tonight? I think we've heard from just about everybody. All right, everybody, again, thanks for all your contributions. Obviously, we have a big discussion to take place here, and there'll be several more as we come down the line on this. So, thanks to everybody for their expertise and their conversations on it. All right, gentlemen, up to the wastewater treatment plant, denitrification, et cetera, please go ahead.
Yes, this contract award is in two parts. John's going to talk about the, each little piece of it, and I'm going to talk about the budgeting aspect of it. So go ahead, John.
So, as you may recall, back in January, you approved a certain amount of money to go to Meridian Construction for the construction of the denitrification filter system. For some odd reason, the grant, the state did not come through with the required amount that was agreed to, and then they did come through with it in September. The amounts that, of course, the contract was with the contractor at the time. It was good for 90 days. We all have to put limits on bids so that they can be met. The price, of course, if you haven't heard, in construction has soared enormously. Once we found out that this was going forth, we contacted the state and we said, hey, by the way, the price is going to change enormously. What do you want us to do? And we discussed it amongst ourselves, MDE staff, and also with the contractor that had it. The state has come back and said, well, yeah, go ahead and ask for a revised price. We got a revised price in, and it wasn't quite within the budget that they had set forth, given the town for that. We then discussed it again with all the parties, and they came back with a revised price. The final revised price is $7,037,000. That'll be covered under a grant. Okay. Then on top of that, Montgomery County requires, I don't know if you recall, there was a garage problem down in Silver Spring where it was a collapsing garage. That entails they changed the way they require building permits to be issued. So you have to acquire a recognized third-party inspection company to be present on the site, and this particular structure is designated as a critical structure. So they've come back and we queried a couple different places to get the third-party inspection, and that was $184,000. Then for the town administration and project management, which encompasses pay requests, project meetings, coordination within MDE, review of submittals with the contractor and town staff, coordination with MCDPS staff, just to name a few of the items, that came to $211,000. And based upon the bid price, we always carry a contingency, as you're aware, in case we run into problems, site problems along those lines. We recommended the typical 5%, which is $351,850. So from the we do make a recommendation to Meridian Construction be awarded the $7,037,000 for the construction of the denitrification filter system. And we do recommend a total budget of $7,783,850 be established for the project in total. Any questions?
Does anything ever get cheaper?
Not
Okay.
here.
So John, just for the people at home's sake and the people in the audience, like, this is something, can you talk a little bit about why we need this and like
Sure,
why we waited
sure.
until now.
So the existing wastewater plant does not meet the requirements for denitrification that was established, probably back in 2008. And the originally came in, Dr. Yu with MDE said, well, do this, this, and this, and you may make it.
If we try to modify the aeration to manipulate the microbes in order to get the nitrogen to release, and that didn't occur through the aeration process. So they tried to cheapen it up. So we went back to MDE, met with some of the top engineers there. And, you know, on your water bill, you have the Chesapeake Water Quality Charge. That's the money that goes into the fund that supplies the grants that's mandated by MDE to make these improvements. So you have to do the improvements. It's not an expansion of any sort. It's more of water quality issues.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a water quality issue. Anyway, we did what they requested. It brought it down some, but didn't make it all the way down to the designated load capacity. This particular project was what we anticipated would happen back in 2010. But the state said, no, do this first, and that should take care of it. It didn't, so now we're doing it now.
Paying for it in $2022 versus $2010, but.
It's all the same money coming in off of the charge. They're collecting the fees. They took care of the bigger
Right.
plants first. We were definitely down the list as a smaller municipality.
Correct.
So I have just a quick question, please. So the numbers on your letter here, the inspection company, $184,000, and the project management administration, $211,000, and then the 5% contingency fund, $351,850. Is that being paid by town of Poolsville, or is that included in the grant?
No, so that's not covered by the grant. A portion of it is. The grant is more than the actual construction contract award by a small percentage. But those fees, especially the administrative and project management, that's setting a budget. That doesn't mean we're going to spend it all. And certainly the same thing with the 5% contingency. That was a request by MDE to have available in case something else did come up during the construction process, and we would hope that it wouldn't.
So the grant covers everything that we're talking about, but we have the additional fees
And the third-party inspection fee
and
also.
third-party
We're gonna pick
inspection
that up.
fees.
Covers the lion's
And we always, it does, absolutely. We always, you can figure, time you get a grant like this, there's a proportionate share that the municipality has to pay. For park projects, everything that we do, there's, the local
Skin in
has
the
to pay a
game.
portion of it.
But if I add up those three numbers, I get $746,850.
Take a look at my table I provided for you.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I have that here, right here.
But this was always at the top of our project list for,
Oh, this has been on
This
the table
funding,
for some
right?
time, yes.
Maybe explain this a little bit further, Wade?
Sure, so on the left hand of the columns there, I have expenditures laid out there, and it started out with Meridian Construction Company. That's the contract award itself that John spoke of, and then each one's at the category that John spoke of, third-party consultant, administration, project management, and then 5% contingency.
So look at, if you look at this, I'm sorry. People back behind the desk can't, front of the desk can't see it, but, Jeff, it just comes down to you see the expenditure side and the fees and the proposed funding for it. Obviously, the vast majority is covered by the MDE grant, but the other three components are already budgeted items for us, that they are in our budget in various places.
That's right, they're in infrastructure accounts right now, and the money's just been sitting in the infrastructure accounts and needs to be a budget amendment with you guys to transfer the money into the 3150, which is the wastewater account for doing this project. And I've outlined exactly how that could be done.
So, somebody needs to make a motion.
No motion coming on from someone. So look, it's spelled out at the bottom of this, whoever feels like reading it, but if there's more questions, let's talk about it now.
Well, I do have another question, if you don't mind, because, over on the right-hand column where it says proposed funding, then you have WWTP, wastewater treatment plant and impact fees, $187,000.
Yes.
Is that for homes that will will be built or have been
No,
built?
those are funds that we have collected off of like the Westerly subdivision just recently. So those were collected originally to pay off the wastewater expansion loan that we took out to build the 400 homes that actually started this whole process. So when we did it, we first started out with, in 2000, we adopted an allocation plan and allocated so much water out to build 400 homes. Then there was an impact fee associated with all of those, with all of those homes. This money's been collected over the time. It has paid off the loan. We have, in February of '23, we make our last payment of $72,000, and this is the money that's left over that is restricted and has to go towards a wastewater plant project legally. It's legally bound to go there.
Okay. And then maybe you could just give me a little more insight into account number 3169, impact fees?
Sure. So
Or
that's
infrastructure account, sorry.
Right, so that's an infrastructure account right there, and we've been putting money in there for a long time. Well, the American Rescue Fund, we received $4 million. That kind of overloaded that we have so much money in that account here. That's the perfect place to go ahead and take the supplemental money that we had been saving up to go ahead and finish this project.
All right, so thank you for that explanation.
Do you want one motion, or do you want me to do both at the same time, or just one at a time?
I'd rather we do two.
I'm just curious,
Yep.
what was the original price tag?
This is roughly 6,500,000.
12 years ago?
No, that was January.
Oh, this January?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That is insane.
You don't want to know what the.
And the other
original-
bidders are even much farther up. I mean, this was the lowest bidder, but we do feel comfortable with this lower bidder, as he's built a couple of well houses
Right,
for us.
Meridian's done good
So,
work.
yeah, we
Yeah,
know
he's
that- we
actually
know-
worked in the wastewater plant before, so
Okay.
he's familiar with the
Very good.
construction.
It's clear cut to me, but I'm open to wherever else anybody wants to go with this.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion. I make a motion, we transfer $187,000 from WWTP impact fees, $450,000 from account 3169, and $81,490 from connection fees to account number 3150 WWTP denitrification project.
Second.
We have a motion from Martin, we have a second from Carrie. Are there any other discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, the motion has carried, and those fees shall all be transferred. Motion number 2? Martin?
I don't think I can read a number that big.
Give it a go.
You can do it.
I make a motion, we award contract 100.013 wastewater treatment plant denitrification project to Meridian Construction Company in the amount of $7,037,000.
We have a motion from Martin.
Second.
Second from Carrie. Any other questions on this?
Yeah, a quick question. Didn't we do this at the last meeting?
That was something different.
Yeah,
We talked about it, but we didn't have the numbers yet, so we couldn't award it.
Yeah, we were waiting for the final numbers to come back from all the subcontractors to the prime.
Thank you.
motion's been made, second's been done by Carrie. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None? Motion passes 5-0 for the award the contract. Very good. Thank you, Johnny. Thanks for the explanation on that. Much appreciated. Wade, for your background on it. Old business. Go ahead. Anybody? Nothing on the agenda. Audience? Getting late. Okay, good. That clock's wrong. John Howard.
Is it too late talking about speed humps?
Sir, because it's you, you can come on up. You only administrated them for God knows how long in those streets, so.
John Howard, 17100 Cubic Court. I just retired from the police department. Your speed in this town is not the issue. Okay, there's been no speed studies on some of these streets, too. I know the perception of a neighbor looking at a car coming down the road with a loud muffler, it appears fast. When I was up here, the stop signs are really the issue, not the.
Do tell.
Not the speed. Spates Hill is a very small area where you can get up to speed. Some of the teenagers, of course, every neighborhood has that problem with a teenager or two. It's just my 2 cents. Speed humps are a nuisance more than anything else. You heard the gentleman here say, for whatever reason, he can go over it at 40 miles an hour. I don't know why you'd want to, but a lot of this is just from personal observation. The speed hump slows down traffic at the hump. And then there's a challenge after the hump to get back up to speed. It's like when the radar trailer's out, a lot of people take that as an opportunity to see how fast they can get the radar trailer up to. And it's not, it's an outlier, like some of these teenagers speeding. But in town, as a 36-year veteran of the police department, speed is not your issue. The crosswalks may be your issue. I agree. And education on them is good, like teaching people how to use that silver button. Because you put the cameras in, we put the crosswalk in with lights, and then people don't use the lights. And then they complain when a car comes up and doesn't hit them because, almost hits them because they didn't use the big silver button. But it's just my 2 cents. Speed humps become a nuisance. There's one by Wade's old house that makes traveling down Wooten Avenue just an irritant. That's why I go out Spates Hill, to avoid the speed humps. Even though I don't speed, I just don't feel like it's. What do you suggest? Well, I don't suggest any solution to something that's not a problem.
Person that's pulled over probably more people in this town.
Right, and that's
than
usually on
anybody
Fisher.
ever.
That's on Fisher.
Right. What do you suggest?
A lot of it, I don't know what to suggest, because if there's true speeding, then the speed hump is great. If there's been a speed study, if you sent police officers out there, or you sent a trailer out there, and the trailer has gathered data that says 25-30% of the people are speeding down the road. I know when we put the trailer out on 107, and then we have to call the homeowner and say, only 10% of the people went over the speed limit. 90% of the people are doing the speed or under. And they still want more data because they don't believe the data coming from the speed trailer. Because speed is, if you're not educated on visual speed enforcement, which most police are, and this, I don't expect citizens to be their forte. It's not part of their everyday existence. When you see a big dump truck coming down the road at 35, he's making a lot of noise, and they say, oh, they're speeding through town. Well, we've come up here for the speeding dump trucks and construction vehicles, and we get very few, because most of them are doing the speed limit. They appear to be going faster because they're big vehicles. So a lot of it is perception, and I am not, as you can tell, I'm not an advocate of the speed hump. I mean, I'll just be upfront with you. I think it's a waste of money, and it's just an irritant to emergency vehicles, to fire rescue vehicles, to police, anybody that has to get in and out smoothly on their travels. The prime guys that drive through every day, the FedEx guys. I think if there's a speed study done and it shows that people are speeding, speed humps are a great thing. But a lot of times speed humps are put in because people feel better. It makes people feel better. And it's not there to actually quell a problem. Just something to think about.
Yeah, how about this? So why don't, Jeff, if you could relay that to the Parks Board and Parks and Streets guys, have a conversation with that. If we need to have retired Officer Howard come on in and give a discussion, we can do that again. But why don't you mention it to him in front of our guys and just see if there's some sort of change of thought process there.
Do you happen to know, Wade, if a speed study was done on, just as an example,
None
Wooten
of our
Avenue?
residential streets, we've never done a speed study.
Oh, that might be very illuminating, yeah.
And I know the county they have trailers that you can use, their data, if you get together with them. Of course, I'm no longer there, but they have several trailers that they can put up. They can put them in what they call ghost mode, so that the speed doesn't come up. It's calibrating, it's visually recording your speed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give that teenager the thing, hey, can I get that up to 100?
Right.
They can't see that. And we got a lot of that. Once we shut that down, we get a lot better results.
Right, realistic, right.
Right, they're realistic results.
Makes sense.
And the county will do it, and there are companies that'll, do anything for money.
Just
But-
put this on the agenda for the Parks Board if you guys don't mind, and have that conversation, please.
And I don't mind, and like I said, I don't mind coming in, but.
No, you don't have to. I think
just-
Jeff's got it.
And I'm
He
sorry
can
if that
make
was out of order,
presentation.
but I was thinking in my head. after-
Sometimes the best things in meetings come after you listen to everybody else.
Yeah, after somebody
It's all
says
good.
something, so. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your service all those years, too.
Well, thank you.
Give a chance to say that officially. I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Gotta hit the wrong button.
All right, very good. No, there's no old business town manager report, sir?
Okay, well, Mr. Niles Anderegg started today, and Assistant Town Manager. We kind of broke him in, piled a bunch of stuff on his desk, and he could see over the pile just barely. Now, we visited all the facilities. He's kind of started his break-in period. John's going to be working with him. I'm going to be working on him. He's going to be taking over a lot of the zoning aspects of it. We're going to let him do code enforcement, planning commission stuff, and permitting. So he gets his head into the code book right out of the gate. And so he's going to be processing a lot of those permits. He's going to be helping out on the website, which he's very in tune with. He is very well suited for the Civic Plus website that we have. He's had a lot of experience in it. And we'll probably start doing, he came up with some ideas today of ways we could communicate better with the public, have like make a weekly wrap up and different things, and we'll probably start implementing these things, so. Yeah, he's very excited, and he's ready to go, so. Yeah, it was a good day.
Train him. Johnny boy, thanks for taking him under your wing.
Let's see, storm issue. So on Thursday, I sent out an email to everybody just to prep for the storm. Didn't know, exactly, you never know really what's going to impact you're going to have. So we did all the regular checks and generators and pump stations and got everything set up. We did have some issues. Well 6 had a shorted out relay just from, we had some intermittent power surges. And well 7, actually, one of the surges took out the whole well pump. So that's going to have to be replaced. We're going to have Easter Day or one of the AC Schultes come in and take a look at it. That's $10,000 to $12,000 right there, just to give you a heads up on that. And then we did lose power at the wastewater plant, but all backup systems came online and everything went fine. So staff responded 2 a.m. and took care of everything. So the guys are always, on call, ready to go, and they showed up and took care of business. Any questions on any of that?
How's our newest leader doing down there?
He is doing awesome. Rick Davidson is doing a great job. All his staff is very happy. He came in today, and John's been working with them, redoing some plans and things, so things are shaping up nicely. Yeah, it's going to work out very well.
Excellent and good news.
Yes. Let's see, we currently have 6 petitions for 2 open commissioner seats. The folks are Jim Brown, Eddie Coleman, Adam Soroka, Annette Howard, Sarah Pakasima, and Jonathan Martin. So
That was my avatar.
So good luck to all of them. And once we get an official ethics approval from all their submittals, we'll make a news flash and send it out and let everybody know. I guess the chamber's going to be setting up some type of forum at some point, so we'll get all that lined up. That's all I have. Any questions from me?
No, I've got nothing else. Anybody, commissioners, audience?
Yeah, thanks, Wade.
One more, RC.
Yep. This is quick.
Because the gavel was like, if we had a gavel, imagine it was an imaginary gavel that was about this high, for right there.
No 50 calibers this
No,
time.
No,
this
just a
actually,
BB gun.
In that case, you could.
I've been
shooter.
asking for a radar in my front yard for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I know you know Gator. Gator is a friend of mine, and he used to park in the driveway to catch everybody speeding down Willard. And he would pull over a handful like every day. So if you want to put a radar out there, just put one in my yard. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure it stays intact. That's it.
RC comes to one meeting. There's a lot of special requests, RC. You're getting your money's worth tonight, man. Good to hear. All right, duly noted, RC, duly noted. Okay, very good. Jeff, last comments. You were the one that shuts it all down. What do you got? You can stay there. What do you got? We don't want you to get it parked.
Well, I was trying to go 35, I was just trying to figure out what's going on with the other people.
Yeah, no.
Dan doesn't like it. I thought we were gonna talk about the potential for townhouses in 107. I was told it was on the agenda for tonight, for the shopping center, but
It's going to be planning commission, yeah.
they're out there surveying, so I understand there's something going on with a variance or something.
No, we are waiting for them to submit an official preliminary plan. So they've not submitted a preliminary plan yet. And once they do, that will go to the planning commission.
Take a statement into the record.
Go for it, sir.
Jeffrey Armis, White's Road again. I'm concerned about potential for townhouses and building in the commercial area. Are there going to be commercial townhomes, or are there going to be townhouses for people? We need more of a commercial zone. We're already possibly building Walden without the pond to get into small housing and various other things. Where's the additional land going to come from as the town continues to grow? There are hundreds and hundreds of houses being built around us. We need a central business core. We don't need more housing packed in everywhere. We're all having to drive to Frederick everywhere else. And we're talking about, I presume likely there would be business townhouses, I would hope. Maybe we'll get some doctors and some people. Pikes can't live forever. Only just recently acknowledged they're taking new patients. So town needs some things. We need town. We need space. We need a central business district, not more small houses in the core. We can have plenty of more houses. I just don't think that that's right, and I think you guys need to look at this as a town future need and to protect that space where we can. Maybe they can do what they want to do, but maybe they shouldn't. Maybe we can make some accommodations. I can certainly see where that curve could use some improvements, maybe parking, maybe are they going to open on the street side? Are they going to open, I mean, there's so many questions. And I would certainly think, though, that any improvements should be 100% on the developer. Donegan's not poor. And those changes, which would be a change to the use, come with expenses.
I can answer part of your questions. The initial proposal for those townhomes was they would not be business, they would be personal townhomes.
Absolutely.
And just
need.
so you
Not a
know, I think the number, Wade, you may step in and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the number of homes we have left to be built here is probably less than 100, I would think. Is that right?
We're getting down to the wire, yes.
Yeah, so there's not like, several hundred or anything going in.
Right.
And then the thinking is that,
Where's the core to support what we have?
well, we have a lot of open office space now, open, strip mall space that we'd like
Selby's back.
that we'd like to see fill. Oh, yeah.
We
well,
need something else. Dollar General don't cut it.
no, I agree.
So and if you don't have space, you can't put it. You got space, small houses, you got space, could be this, could be that. It's always been a central business district.
So Jeff, what I would suggest you do is, first of all, I mean, you can definitely attend a planning commission meeting, but on top of it, the planning commission right now is working through the comprehensive plan, which does a very good job of addressing, your concerns of percentage of where we are commercially versus our residents and our commercial use, et cetera. They're come up with something that's really good that I think is going to address that to your satisfaction. So there's no draft yet, correct?
There's no draft yet, but I can tell you it's going to be a really good plan. Just seeing some of the other samples that they've worked on, and having worked with them now for months, probably a year, I'm expecting something very comprehensive and very good.
I'm super excited to see their expertise.
I
So
think
do
it's
us a favor.
short-sighted to let the land go. They're not making more land for us.
We appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn?
Second. Second from Ed. All in favor? Aye. Motion adjourned. Done.